Welcome to the On the Edge podcast with your host, Scott Groves. Hey, what's up, boys and girls? This is Scott Groves with the On the Edge podcast. I'm actually here with my new friend, Miguel Jurado, who is coming to us in a weird way. I belong to a Facebook group called Jiu-Jitsu for Men Over 40 because there's a little bit of a different structure and workout plan and kind of methodology when you're 45 instead of 25 to doing some of these combat sports. And I had put up a random post there that said, hey, I'm feeling pretty good about my skill level. But I'm hitting mid 40s. I want to be healthy into my 60s because I waited until later in life to have kids. I've got a little bit of that 40-year-old pot belly forming, and I'd like to get a little bit stronger for jiu-jitsu. So who's got like a great, YouTube workout? I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, the one thing that's missing is kind of strength training, right? Maybe I need some kettlebells, or maybe I need to run with a weighted vest, or maybe I got to go find some broed out weightlifting culture and just put in 2 or 3 days a week of weights. And Miguel reached out and he's like, hey, I don't really like to solicit in the Facebook group, but I own a CrossFit gym. I've done jiu-jitsu or some type of combat sport or wrestled my whole life. I'm also in my 40s and trying to stay lean and fit and whatnot. And if you're interested, let's talk about a program that might work for you. And so I'm like, well, if we're going to talk about a program, let's do it on the podcast live because I'm pretty transparent. I'll tell my whole audience how much I weigh, where the fat is, where I think the upside is. So Miguel, what did I miss in your bio over the last 40 years of physical fitness?
That's pretty much it. It's been sports for me, since I, could start walking, I guess. But spent most of high school and a little bit after that in wrestling. Did some jiu-jitsu after that too, just because one of my coaches was into jiu-jitsu. Especially, it all came about when I think that's when UFC started. I think 93, 94.
Yep.
Yeah. So we started getting into that. No punching yet, but lots of wrestling. And then even after that, it's always just been fitness throughout after that. One thing I've always told my clients is one thing that really dialed me into fitness. My past life was corporate, but being grounded through fitness and health was actually kind of helped me settle in and not go lose my family because work was taking its toll mentally.
Right. Right. And by the way, you can cuss on this podcast. You can say whatever you want. So go for ape shit. We don't care.
Yeah. And so, I actually got hurt playing basketball and I was into bodybuilding for a little bit, destroyed my shoulder. I actually had a full reconstructive surgery, and a friend of mine was like, try CrossFit out, kept telling me for a whole year. I finally tried it. Pretty much died my first day workout, but because, that competitive atmosphere was still there, like it worked for me. And then throughout the years it changed. And then I eventually got into coaching, where, I did that for a few years. And finally I was like, you know what, let me open my own gym. So got into coaching more. That's been, I guess, where the main passion has been, because it's been more fulfilling than for me working a corporate job. I was driving, you're from LA. Like I drove to Hancock Park every day from Cerritos.
Ooh, brutal.
Yeah. So
which only looks like about
only this much,
30 miles on the map, 25 miles on the map, but you hit LA traffic and that's brutal.
Yeah, man. So, got into this even more fulfilling. And then what actually made me hone in even more into what I want to do and helping out people was, so my wife is an autoimmune and, lots of meds from the doctors, and we needed to figure out a way to not have that because just the roller of emotions from the meds. I think she was on about 20 pills, man. Oof. Uppers and downers. And, so really tightened up her nutrition, her fitness. She's down to about 2, which is just what she needs. And everything is great. She's a stud freaking athlete now. So she's 44. And then actually it'll be her birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday. And so she actually qualified for, she took 3rd in the Pan Am Championships for Olympic weightlifting, and then actually qualified for the World Championships in Japan next year. but it got canceled. So here we are.
That's insane. And how much of your, because, it sounds like you've always been an athletic guy, go work out, whatnot. How much of the shift, because we talked about this a little bit on our call the other day, how much of the shift has gone from, yeah, it's great to work out, you got to stay physically active, if it's the camaraderie and the competition of CrossFit or Soul Cycle or a jiu-jitsu gym, great, do that. And it's a shitload of diet. Like, you can still have In-N-Out once in a while. You can still have In-N-Out a lot, apparently, you told me. You can still have ice cream once in a while, but that old joke of six packs are made in the kitchen. When did you start to make that shift from like, hey, instead of just going out and getting it at a 2-hour workout every day, really got to focus on the nutrition? Was that because of your wife's autoimmune disease, or were you always into nutrition?
Yeah. So it was one autoimmune. So actually before that, I thought, hey, I'm going to work out. I used to work out 3 hours a day, right? Competitive CrossFit and stuff like that. And, worked out 3 hours a day, still basically ate like I thought I was still 20 years old. And I was like, nothing's happening. I'm getting stronger, but I still have like, I still got the gut and the muffin top, right?
Yeah.
The love handles. And I couldn't figure it out. So once like we talked about helping my wife, once we saw that how she had made that big change. So she actually, like, I think when we started with her, she was about, after our third child, about like 170, 180, and just couldn't move. Right. And she did a lot of cardio, but once we cleaned up her diet, and like, it was just like amazing. Boom, 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 boom. She was making drastic changes, getting strong. And the best part about it is like, and I spoke about it the other day with you, is that as a parent, like, I don't want to miss out on stuff that my kids are doing. Right. If they want to eat pizza, they want to eat In-N-Out, you want to eat ice cream, cool. But let's find a way where we can still get all that, but focus in on what's more important for us so that we can live like a longer life. Right. So I got like, the InBody scale, and I'm 46 years old. When I jump on the scale, it tells me like, hey, your body is like a 36-year-old, not a 46-year-old. This is because I've taken the necessary steps to not eat like dog crap the whole week. You know what I mean? Can't be In-N-Out and pizza every day.
Right. So. And what do you find is the biggest offender? Because, I sent you a screenshot of my calendar. We talked a little bit about my lifestyle. There's always an excuse to eat unhealthy, right? It's like I was driving back from a 2.5-hour workout today. I got in like a private boxing session with this guy who's going to be in the UFC in 2 weeks. That was awesome. And that was just kind of skill based. And then I did like an 1.5-hour open mat for jiu-jitsu. And so as I'm driving home, it's like, dude, I got 45 minutes before this interview. Do I really want to like saute up some vegetables and do this and do that? It's like, I'll just stop at In-N-Out and get a burrito, right? Which I know is not the healthiest thing. And even at In-N-Out, there was healthier options. Could have got the 3-piece breasts with like, vegetables. But no, I'll just get the easy to eat fast burrito, which is probably the least healthy thing on the menu. So for those guys, a lot of our audience.
I think you're talking about El Pollo Loco.
Oh, what did I say?
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out? No, yeah, I meant El Pollo Loco. Sorry. Yeah, you got me thinking about In-N-Out now. Now I want to go to In-N-Out for dinner. So I was talking about El Pollo Loco for chicken. Yeah, so I got the chicken burrito at El Pollo Loco. And I was just thinking to myself, for most of our audience, this is going to be like alpha males and alpha females that are in the financial space. They're loan officers. They got every excuse in the book why it's hard to eat healthy and take the time and meal prep and all this stuff, because we're just on the go. And then there's happy hours with clients, and then there's dinners with realtors, and then there's special events. What do you find are the biggest offenders of the people that you work with, like before they make the breakthrough? Is it the speed? Is it the fast food? Is it the overeating? Is it the alcohol? Like, what are the biggest offenders for those people that are in their late 30s, 40s, getting into their 50s, and they're like, I've kind of just let it go here?
Yeah. So, I mean, that used to be me. Like I said, I was in corporate software sales, doing conference shows, always, would meet with clients, and just traveling in with, with a 90-minute commute. It's like, I need something to eat because I'm starving. And so I was the same boat, like eat whatever I can. But that really just, like I said, no matter how much I worked out, nothing was happening. So and I get it how, like, especially like when you show me your calendar, oh shit, that's a pretty thick schedule. It's going to be hard to like cook, the good foods and stuff like that. Right. And that's kind of what everybody thinks is the main focus with everything else. You could still, like, if you go out, you could still make the smart choices. Like if you go to In-N-Out, or not In-N-Out, El Pollo, right?
That's El Pollo Loco. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, I actually just had El Pollo last night just because I was hungry and I didn't have time to eat or to make food. So just got, the chicken, and I like rice, so I still eat rice. I just don't load up on a lot of the beans and all the extra stuff that's there, just because it doesn't really do anything for me. Right. And, everybody's like, well, I eat a salad, but they take a salad and they like just douse all the salad dressing in there. You don't need that much. You can still taste good. But like if you're eating lettuce doesn't really do anything for you. Like it's completely worthless. It's a filler. So I think in the beginning, what people need to understand is that they can still make changes. It just has to be, it doesn't have to be instant, right? Just take the necessary steps. So if you have to go out, just you can make the smarter choice on what to eat. Like you don't necessarily have to get the full stuffed burrito, right, with the sour cream and all that stuff.
Right.
You can do without it. And then slowly progress to cutting some of all that stuff out. The faster you get rid of it, the faster you can see the results.
Give me like 3 tips, right? So tonight, my wife and I are going out with somebody who's in town for the weekend. We're going to go out to some nice dinner or somewhere. Give me like 3 tips. Like, Scott, you're going to go out. You're gonna go to a steakhouse or whatever. Just avoid these 3 things, and you'll be better off tomorrow. Like the compound effect. What are the little things to avoid when we're eating out? That it's like, all right, it's not gonna make you have 6-pack abs overnight, but this stuff over time, eliminating this or doing this instead of that, it will start to add up. Where you're in your 50s, you'll have 10 pounds less around the midsection than you would have if you would have done those 3 things.
Right. Okay. So I mean, like at a steakhouse, one thing that like I try to avoid when I go to steakhouse is all the sauces and all the butter. Right. I'll eat steak. I mean, shit, I love a good ribeye, man. I have to have it. And then, people always like talk bad about potatoes and stuff like that, all the starch, eat it. You're in moderation, but make sure you're eating. And that's one thing that people always forget is that you can actually lose weight eating food. All right. People are always in this like starvation mode. I gotta eat less, lose weight. But if you're at a restaurant, like just stay away from the sauces and the butter. Right. Minimize the hard alcohol.
All right. Minimize booze. I knew we were going to get there.
Yeah. So like I will, like for me, I love bourbon. So, but I'll order 1 glass and I'll just like slow sip it throughout the night. Right. And that way I'm still being social without going overboard, because that's actually one of the biggest things that people are like, they don't want to be the antisocial person.
Right.
Right. But like, as long as you're being present with the company that you're with, like I don't think it really matters like how much you drink.
Right.
Right. So I that would be like where I would focus on. And then, people always, well, what can I drink that's better? Vodka, tequila.
All right. So the average loan officer dinner is usually like 2 sugary cocktails before dinner, a bottle of wine throughout dinner, maybe an after cocktail with the cigar. So just get like 1 vodka tonic or 1 tequila and soda, sip that through the night and just let it be.
Yeah, let it be. And if you have to have if you're going to get if you're going to drink some wine with some friends, it's cool. Like what I always, when I talk with my clients is I always want to tell them to be present with what they're doing. Cause it makes it, I think, more enjoyable. So especially eating too, eating at, so restaurants is hard with company. Cause we want to eat and talk, but like actually being present and enjoying your food and chewing it, like, is amazing. Right. I don't know how many times like you'll eat steak, you'll chew it really fast because you can't wait to get to the next bite, or you're talking to somebody. But if you actually sit there, cut it, eat it, and like taste the food, it'll actually, it's like, it tastes so much more better. And you're actually doing work chewing the food instead of just like taking three chunks out of it and then swallowing the whole thing, which then just sits in your belly like this big clump. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember, this is going to be embarrassing to admit, live or publicly, and we're not live, but publicly. I remember watching like a Sex and the City episode, fell in love with that show because some ex-girlfriend got me into it. And like one of the characters comes out to LA where we live, and it's like, holy shit, man, you lost so much weight. And then they go to a steakhouse and the guy takes like 40 chomps on the food while he's biting it, and then he spits it out into a napkin, and he's like, wait a minute, is that how you lost so much weight? He's like, yeah, I chew my food 40 times, and then I try to spit it out if it hasn't completely dissolved in my mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard. But I think there's a happy medium between that craziness and like, hey, enjoy your food, chew it 10 times, let the body digest in the mouth like it's supposed to, and then move on. You know what I find at the restaurants that just kills me, because in the moment, I have no self-control or impulse control, is the sitting down the plate of bread, sitting down the plate of chips and salsa, sitting down the beer nuts or the pretzels or the peanuts in front of you. Like that stuff that basically just adds, I don't know, pick a number, 300 calories, 1,000 calories before you even eat your meal. And then I can't tell you the number of times I've been to Salsa and Beer out in North Hollywood, which is like some of my favorite Mexican food. And even there you can eat fairly healthy, but it's like they just douse you with like this chips and dips and beans and salsa and stuff. And then by the time the food gets there, I'm already like, God, I feel disgusting, but I have to plow through this food. So any tips on how to avoid all those peripheral, they put a plate of bread in front of you, they put chips and salsa in front of you? Because if it's there, I'm going to eat it. Like I'm going to munch on it if it's in front of me. I don't have the willpower.
I think the easiest way, right, is as they're putting it down, is to just say like, don't put it there, right? But we're gonna want to, and one thing like I try to do, and where I try to teach people is that like, if you're going somewhere, like plan for it, right? Like, so tonight, let's say, you're gonna, I'd say, I'm gonna eat steak, I'm gonna eat potatoes, maybe some vegetables, I'm gonna have a drink. Like plan for that. And set up your morning and lunch and your snacks accordingly, so you can get there without feeling like you've basically just lost the entire day with that one dinner.
And when you say set that up, do you mean eat like a little bit less throughout the day so you can indulge a little bit more, or
yeah,
eat? Okay,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
And because like there's nothing wrong with like, people always think like if they want to. They have certain goals that they want to go after. It's like, they're trying to lose 10, 15 pounds, or they're trying to lean up. Like people always think that like one meal is going to wreck their entire day. And so, and then everything falls apart, right? Oh, I quit. I can't do this thing anymore. Right. So that's the mental part that people need to get over. Right. And then, so those are just some things that you can do. There's mental preparations, but unless like you're doing a bodybuilding show, like one night fun with friends isn't going to kill you.
Right.
One day isn't really going to kill you. I mean, it's going to set you back, but you just start all over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So continue. Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about, I know that you have kind of this curriculum or 12-week plan. And just for the people that maybe don't know me or are tuning in for the first time, I weigh about 205 right now. My body fat is somewhere in the 20s. I don't even know. I have one of those little Renpho scales that I jump on sometimes. I could easily afford to get down to 190 in like a healthy manner, and I would just look like a better, leaner version of myself. Below that's going to be probably a little bit harder. I probably haven't been under 190 since, I got out of the Army when I was 21. But I do feel like for me, goal is to like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'd love to lose a little bit of this gut and love handles, look better with my shirt off at the pool, and then, have a little bit stronger upper body for the functional stuff that we're doing in jiu-jitsu. I've got kind of tree trunks for legs from a lifetime of hiking and backpacking and road marching and going back to Boy Scouts and the Army and stuff. So I feel like my legs are always pretty strong, but like my upper body, I've got these little girl wrists. I can barely wear like a watch because it just looks oversized on my little tiny wrist. So, okay, perfect. Well, you got that sleeve tattoo, so at least you look tough. I just look like a 6-year-old girl. So, we had talked a little bit about, hey, is there a make sense diet plan? Knowing that I'm working from home most days, we're coming here at the end of 2022, or end of 2021, California is still pretty locked down. A lot of people not going back into the workplace. So working from home, I'll be honest, working from home has given me kind of this weird release of like, I'm sick of being in the same environment all day, 24/7. I'm going to run to Del Taco and get like just a taco or a soda or something just because I need a change of pace. I need like a change of scenery. So that's been a bad habit that's developed over COVID. The good habit that's developed is like, I have gotten really diligent about the jiu-jitsu workouts. So, when you and I were talking and you were saying, hey, everybody's a little different. We'll probably have to craft a plan, but maybe this 12-week curriculum that you run, what do you think for somebody like me, middle-aged guy, probably carrying an extra 15 pounds, would like to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more agile so I can play with my kids, longer into life? Like, what does that 12-year plan maybe look like? How do you structure that? What's the cost? Like, what do you do on like a service level basis for those clients? Is it individual? Is it group? Just kind of walk me through the plan as if I'm, a potential client, because I am.
Sure. So, I mean, it is all highly individualized and customized because each person is going to be completely different, right? Like for you, like I said, I've seen your schedule. So having the time to like make certain foods, let's call it the right foods, is going to be hard. So, we'll have to make something that fits your lifestyle. And actually that's what I've named my program is the You First lifestyle, because it's literally about you. Like I can't give you like, hey, this is what I think, this is what worked for me. This should work for you, because it's completely different. Like, especially, my schedule gets busy, but it's not slammed like yours. I can do certain more things better because I've structured my day and my time, and what do I do that I can do that. But your schedule is like bow, impacted. Like I saw you've got overlapping stuff. So it's fun. It's basically talking to you, finding out like what works for you, and then fitting that into that program, right? Because I mean, like let's face it, like you're not going to give up everything,
right?
You're going to want a taco. Shit, I love tacos. Every Tuesday, my daughter says it's Taco Tuesday. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
I have no problems with that. And so, it's going to be a nutritional aspect. The fitness part is actually really easy, but it's individualized for you. Like for you, like your goal is like, hey, I want to get stronger for jiu-jitsu, but I still want to move. I don't want to be like a full-on meathead, right? Because like I can't all of a sudden I can't get him in there in the guard, or I can't try to choke because my hands are so beat up. So it's got to be more about functionality versus the versus the mom who's in jiu-jitsu, right? Because we're in that over 40 club, still getting back in. Her goal might not be into strength, but loosening, getting a little bit leaner, especially after having kids and all that stuff. So that training is going to be different for her. The loan officer that's sitting down all day long, hey, we just got to get you moving, because being sedentary is basically what's going to create a lot of like the weight gain and the loss of strength and stuff like that.
Yeah. The boxing or the UFC fighter that I was working out with today, he's really known for a lot of these like really slick kicks. He's out of Hawaii. He's been a Muay Thai boxer his whole life. So most of his like mixed martial arts comes from this kicking background. And so he does a really extensive warm up to start. He probably warmed up for 20 minutes, plyometrics and stretching and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, dude, you got some buffalo legs, man. he's like, we got to work on your flexibility, bro. He's like, how do you do jujitsu? And I'm like, not very well. But yeah, that flexibility, I'm always jealous when I see these really lean, but clearly strong guys that are doing, hot yoga, or they're running Ironman triathlons. I'm like, yeah, man, that lean, but strong body is just like, I think that's what most guys aspire to. Very few people want to be total meatheads, big, giant, Tin Tebow and larger type guys. So, so Miguel, I'm thinking most middle-aged guys are kind of like me. They're in that, have these same goals. They're in that sedentary lifestyle. They're sitting down at a desk too often. I got a standing desk, which does make my back feel a lot better, by the way. But what kind of workout regimen? One of the things that I put in that Facebook post that initially got us introduced is like, hey, I'm looking for something I could do from home, whether it's, buy a 30-pound kettlebell or do some stretching, or who's got some weird Shaolin monk, body plyometrics for jiu-jitsu. Like, where do you start with people who maybe have a little bit of an athletic background? Maybe they're even into something right now, but they just want to do better.
So I'm getting back into jiu-jitsu, and so I can't do if I continue to do a lot of the things that I used to do, it's just not going to work well. Right. So right now, the past 3 years for me, I've been competing in like Olympic weightlifting. It's just not going to transition. There's a lot of it that won't transition well to jiu-jitsu. Like the power and the speed from it does. But like, if you're just doing jiu-jitsu and, you want to be strong, still move well and stuff, and all you really need is like a kettlebell and some dumbbells, right? Maybe some bands, right? Some squats, some tempo movements, or depending on like what you're missing. Like if you had a really rough, session at jiu-jitsu where long cardio sessions, maybe you cut your volume down. If it was an easy day, pump up the volume. So it's going to be different based on like how your days are, right? Like, so for me, I have my own coach because I hate programming for myself. Because I would just do the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
And it's pointless. So I have my coach. This is what my schedule's looking like this week. Let me know what I got to do. And so he sends it to me. So like, I think I tagged you on that one video. I was just doing some goblet squats on a slant board. Slant boards are fucking awesome, by the way.
Nice.
That workout actually wrecked me for a couple of days.
All right, cool. So it's looking like kettlebells, dumbbell. I got a couple kettlebells actually here. Some bands and a slat board. I'm probably all in for a couple $100 in equipment. Coach just sends me the workouts and I do them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because you're accidentally or intentionally, maybe you just read me this well, hitting on like two of my big core values, which one of them is efficiency and one of them is variety. And the problem is those two are constantly in competition because it's like, I'm kind of like that dog in the movie Up where I'm like, squirrel, I want variety. I want to try something new hobby, new system, new this, new restaurant. But then I'm like, oh, I really like efficiency. So it's so much easier when I just order the exact same thing every single time I go to Subway, right? And so with the workouts, it's like, I really value efficiency. Like I know you can get an ass kicking workout in 20 or 30 minutes if you're efficient and you're focused and you do the stuff. But I also like variety. So it's like, I've had a hard time getting into the groove of something. And to your point, on my calendar, I don't have an hour and a half out of my day to go to CrossFit, take a shower, get back into it. It's probably 2 hours by the time you get there, go, get back, shower, get back into your day. So what are the things that, like, if we're working together that you're going to recommend? Is it like, hey, here's a 20-minute YouTube video, you got your barbells and your dumbbells, do this? Or is it, how does that work, especially when so much of the world has gone digital and virtual on Zoom?
Yeah. So I give my workouts to my clients on an app called True Coach. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I'll say, hey, here's your program for the day, right? A, B, C, D, depending on what your time frame is. And I'll usually attach videos there too, to show what the movement looks like if you're not familiar with it. But based on like what the intentions and the goals are, the program is structured based on that. So whether it's 12 weeks, whether it's 16 weeks, I have some clients that I work with for 40 weeks just because they have a lot more weight to lose. And we build up to that. It's not like, hey, 100%, here we go. And then you're trying to squat like 100 pounds. Like, it's not going to work for a lot of people.
Right.
And you just don't have the time. So yeah, the app, I'll deliver the app. Like, I don't do Zoom coaching. I had to do that during the shutdowns, and I absolutely hated it.
It's brutal.
I did it for my clients and for my community at my gym. But it just wasn't fun, just because like, I'm just sitting here like, hey, do this, do that.
Tuck your abs, stretch your butt. Like, this is kind of weird.
You can't really see, in 2D versus 3D. So,
right.
And like for me, I'm a stickler in movement, right? I like, whether you're at my gym or you're one of my remote clients, like, I would rather see you move better with lighter weights than lift heavy stuff and move like absolute crap, because that's when they get hurt.
Yeah.
And then they can't do anything. And then that client will be like, dude, that coach sucked. I got hurt doing this. Is like, no, like, I've literally sent somebody home from my gym because like they wouldn't listen to me telling them to take off weights because they're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Time to go home.
Yeah. Cause CrossFit does kind of have that reputation, right? Of like, everybody who does CrossFit gets hurt eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's when. But from what I've heard from friends of mine that have done that, the culture has changed more, where there's like this fundamentals program and you learn how to do stuff with a PVC pipe, and then you move on to this. And then there's smart coaches like you being like, dude, there's no reason to move that much weight. Like, you're going to hurt yourself. So can you, stepping away from like our potential program, can you maybe talk a little bit about how that CrossFit culture has changed over the years?
Yeah. So it's literally that. I mean, you still have gyms that are full on competition gyms. They want to go. I still like competing in that, but I'm not trying to force that onto my clients. Just if they want to, and then we'll do that. But the point is like, literally to move better, get healthier, get stronger, right? As a parent, if you got hurt in my gym, and as a parent and let's say you're the breadwinner, if you got hurt and you're not working, who are you going to blame? Right? Me. And a lot of that, it's going to be the coach athlete dynamic. Like, hey, you need to trust me and I need to trust you, that if you know that this is going to be too much for you, tell me so that we can change it. Don't let the ego get in the way. Right. So for us, like, I'm in Lakewood, and it's a very, very family driven city, right? It's all moms and dads. We have some young kids too, but everybody just wants to move better. They want to look better. They're not trying to win the Olympics or anything like that.
Right.
So we want to teach them to have that better workout with just a lighter weight. And going back, you mentioned the PVC pipe. I've always told somebody, like, with power cleans, right? If you can't show me a power clean with a PVC pipe, what makes you think you can do it with a 100-pound bar or barbell? You can't. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I had a potential client. He was on a practice squad for a pro football team, right? He came in and wanted to work out, and his squat absolutely sucked. Like, he was on his toes because there was no flexibility in his ankles. And he's trying to load all his weight. I'm like, dude, like, you're going to snap your ankle if you keep doing that. And he's like, well, this is what I do, with my team. I'm like, I don't care. Like, you're not doing that here. We had him squat with 135 pounds and literally kept falling over because his ankles and his hips wouldn't allow it. And then he started getting frustrated because one of my coaches, she was squatting like 245 pounds, like it was easy, because her range of motion is good and she's strong. Eventually he's like, no, walked out, and he's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to get anybody hurt in my gym.
I've been
whether you're at my gym or at your house, I'm not trying to get you hurt.
Whether it be jiu-jitsu or at a CrossFit gym that I went to for about a year, I've been very humbled by some awesome female athletes. I mean, so some of the girls, I almost feel like they have an advantage because they're just more in tune with their body, and like to your point, the range of motion. Like I just feel like women are better at taking instruction when men are morons and we think we know everything. We're like, oh, just give me heavy weight, I'll do it. And it's like, I've just seen women just absolutely wreck in a workout, guys, and it's pretty amazing.
My wife, so pound for pound, my wife is probably stronger than me.
It's amazing.
And when we do, whether it's CrossFit workouts or if we're just running or whatever, or even some like more functional workouts, like she crushes me, and I love it and I hate it. Like I'm like, I don't want to work out with you because you keep beating me.
Right.
You know, but it's so much fun actually working out with her. Prior to the last couple months, we would actually train together. So before my wife started training, I've trained by myself for the past 10 years. And then recently, when she wanted to, try to qualify for Worlds, we started training together. It was so much fun. I know some people who can't work out with their spouses or their partners, but it's absolutely so much fun. And she pushed me in the fact, like watching her, with what she's had to deal with, just pushing weight left and right.
That's awesome, man.
And and our majority of my clients are women, and to see them like based on what they can do versus what the men can do, it's like you said, they will humble a lot of the men.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Talk to me a little bit about the accountability, right? So like I've signed up for a ton of online programs, coaching, whatever. And it's like, unless there's accountability, if they don't follow through, or if they don't follow up, I don't follow through. And then, I get frustrated that I wasted the money and whatnot. And especially when it's something as intimate as food, obviously we're eating several times a day. What's the accountability in your program, or what makes, the You First lifestyle, which is a great branding name, by the way. The You First lifestyle, what makes it unique in is its ability to succeed and the accountability with the client. Like, I mean, obviously at the end of the day, it's up to me to not stuff my face with Oreos and Dr. Pepper, but what kind of like accountability systems are in there, especially on the dietary side?
So like there are weekly check-ins, without getting like too deep into it. So there's weekly check-ins, and I actually, most of my clients, I have them, depending on where they're at in their journey, right? If let's just say, client A, I just need him to eat properly first. I don't even care if he tracks his food. I just need him to eat first. I don't need him to weigh his food. That depends on the individual's goals, but I need to know what food he's eating, right? And so we do weekly check-ins, and I actually check their data throughout the week. And I will send, one of my favorite things to use is Loom. I don't know if you've heard it. Yeah. I love using Loom.
I love Loom. Best video program ever. Share the screen, talk, explain what you're doing. I love it. It's the best.
I'm pulling up your stuff. I'm talking to you. I'm like, hey, Scott, like, you were doing good, and all of a sudden your carb intake was like through the roof. What for the next couple of days? What's going on? Your sleep is going bad. What is causing all of that? So there is going to be the constant accountability. It's not not smothering, right? I don't want to smother you, because sometimes there'll be days where you're just like, dude, I just need a break because something is off. But that's where that's where I would hope that that relationship as a coach, it'd be like, hey, this is the day I'm having, or this is the week that I'm having. I need to ease up somewhere, or else it's gonna be crazy. Like, what my last two clients, like, it started off good, but they've had some hardships with their family, where the parent is the lifespan is not there. And I'm like, hey, okay, let's focus your work here. Don't worry about all this other stuff. Let's focus here, so that you're finding a way to alleviate a lot more of that stress, and not like bottle it all in.
Right.
Right. So and there's a lot of like mindset coaching and finding me time. And that's where a lot of people, I think, forget about, like in that journey, whether it's weight loss or strength or whatever it is like finding that me time to decompress a little bit. Like for me, my me time is walking my dog twice a day, morning and at the evening. So the accountability is there. Like I will make sure, like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you not doing this?
Right.
And, I'm hoping that they're honest enough to tell me exactly what's going on. Because if you're saying it's all hunky dory and I keep providing more stuff and it just keeps like sliding, then it's not gonna work. I will, like, I've taken like workouts and food away from people because they're not following directions.
Right.
I'm like, but I like that. I'm like, well, you don't get it. You haven't earned it. So what I give you, you have to earn.
Yeah.
And then people find that weird. I was like, well, you haven't taken the necessary steps and developed the habits to earn those things. That's freedom. You haven't earned, like, if you work with me, you need to earn that freedom so that you get the results that you want.
That's an interesting way to look at it because I run a coaching program for loan officers, and one of the upsides and the downsides of our coaching is we throw a lot of information at people, and a lot of curriculums and a lot of coaching programs that I've been through, they throw a lot of information at you where it's like, I wonder if you had to earn that next step of like, hey, we might be in 6 months of like step one, because until you master that thing and until you're really accountable on that, like you don't earn the right to go to the next step. Now that might not be so good for having coaching clients stick around, but it might be the best thing for the success of the people that do stick around. Cause I'll have people in my coaching program 2-3 years that are still a little deficient on some of the fundamentals.
Yeah. And one of the things that when I talk to somebody, I'll basically tell them like you have to earn everything that you're getting, because if you don't, it'll just fall apart, and then you'll leave thinking nothing has been accomplished. Right? I know that with what I've done at either 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, depending on what it is that we're trying to work on, like, if you follow these steps, it'll happen. But it's all about taking the steps. Yeah, some of my clients, like, I don't even give them a workout for at least 2 weeks. And they're like, what? I can't work. I'm like, yeah, you can't do that yet. Your body's not primed for that. If you work out right now, like, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Right.
You got to take the baby steps. And it's hard for people to understand that sometimes, because they're like, hey, I'm paying you a crap ton of money. Like, why am I not getting it? I'm like, you haven't earned it.
Right. You mean it's not just $99 and then I get like 6-pack abs? It's not how this works.
No, yeah, I wish, right?
This isn't like an Instagram course where it's like, just give us $999 and you'll have 100,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, man, I don't think that's the way it works. So, and you don't have to give me the whole spiel, but are you comfortable at all talking about the pricing for some of this? Or is that an offline conversation?
That would be an offline conversation, because it is really different for each person.
Okay, cool.
I don't because 12 weeks for you might not need as much like accountability or as help as the next person.
Yeah.
And if I tell that to you, then he'd be like, oh yeah, you gave Scott this price. And I'm like, well, Scott only needed this. You need this.
Well, I will tell you, on the workouts, I think that's going to be very easy. Like, you send me the videos, I'll do the workouts. I'll implement that and integrate that with my jiu-jitsu workouts. I've got a pretty decent garage here I can work out in. It's the food accountability that's the hard thing, man. Because in those moments of weakness or frustrations, it's like, I don't really drink, I don't do drugs, I don't cheat on my wife. Like, my release is having a cigar, and then like, oh fuck it, I'm in a really bad mood, I'm angry, I want to change the scenery, I'm going to Del Taco and getting a Dr. Pepper. And it's like, well, that was just a waste of 500 calories and sugar that's probably destroying the inside of my body. But it's like, it's what I've gotten in the routine of doing. So breaking some of those long-term unhealthy food habits and the accountability on the food, that's going to be the tough part for you and I.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's what it is those habits, like really creating habits that drive you to the end result, right? Yeah. I've had some clients where like they just won't eat. I'm like, oh, I'm not hungry. I'm like, well, fuck, you need to eat to lose weight. Like you're not eating enough.
Right.
And this is why I'm not giving you workouts, because you're not eating enough. Like you'll
that will not be our problem at all. So
Scott, eat this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's better. Get back to the army of like, hey, this is just what we're putting on your plate. This is what you're gonna eat.
You know, I think you and I have something in common, is that like I just needed somebody to tell me what to do sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Like just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Because I'm very like when I have a goal in sight, like it's tunnel vision. Right. And that's it. Like you tell me that, I will make sure I take the steps to get there. I may detour here a little bit, but I'll get back on. And yeah, that's pretty much the simplest way to say it, is like, just tell me what to do. And that's why I that's why I have a coach. That's why you're a coach. Because somebody's tell me what to do. Help me to help me.
Yeah. Help me. Exactly. Yeah. Cool, man. I always like to end on this question is, what's the thing I forgot to ask you about either health and fitness, your life, maybe some client's journey you want to share with us? What's the question I forgot to ask when you're like, man, when I'm talking to new clients or doing a podcast interview, I really wish they would ask this. So what's the question I forgot to ask, or the thing that you really wanted to talk about today?
I think we touch on a lot of things, but one of the things, like I always just try to tell people, is like, it's not going to be perfect. Like you can never be perfect. Like, because as a parent, even an adult, life happens all the time, right? Shit, we're going through it the past year and a half.
Right.
And something's going to happen and it's going to throw it out. And, people think like, oh, I got something happen, then everything's going to fall apart. Detours are going to happen, right? Like roadblocks and all that stuff, but just roll with it, make the adjustments, and then just go with it. Like it can't be perfect. There is no perfect system, right? And basically, like, enjoy the journey, right? That's one thing. Like I think a lot of people that I know is like, they don't enjoy the journey. And I think I touched on that early in the beginning, is about be present in the moment. If you can do that, it's easier to get to where you want to be, because you're focused. Especially like for me, like when it's family time, like it's family time. If I'm time for work, shut the doors, lock, throw on my earphones, music, and I'm just jamming away. So yeah, be present in the moment.
That's great, man. That's great. And then if people want to find you to learn more about the You First lifestyle, and if they want to, talk to you about coaching, or if they're in Southern California and want to swing by your gym, what's the best way to get in touch with Miguel?
Yeah. If they want to see me on Instagram, it's Coach Miguel_J. And if you're in Facebook, it's the You First. It's not labeled You First Lifestyle. It's actually called Weight Loss and Fitness. Let me see. Secrets, I think, for professionals and busy parents.
Awesome.
Or you can just find me, Miguel Jurado. It'll be the bald guy with the blue hoodie on.
Perfect. Yeah, you're pretty unmistakable. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you being on. Thanks so much. And if you and I decide to work together, maybe we'll have you back on in 12 weeks and see what the results were.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Talk soon.